Going to be a lot of mixing the pitches. I mean, it's fastballs, it's cutters, it's sliders, curveball change, and maybe even a little split. So he's got everything. Don't know how the catcher's going to call it. Might have to drop his glove and give a bunch of different pitches.
Blake Jackson leads things off for South Carolina. Takes a first pitch strike. Jeff Head, the veteran, is behind the plate. 0-1 to Jackson, who's hitting just .179. The senior from Coppell, Texas. Both of his home runs have come in league play.
Makes in front of it just enough out in front of the plate, and nice hustle down the line. You see Donay the throw just a little bit high.
So leadoff man on for the Gamecocks. And Henry Kazmar to the plate for South Carolina. The South Carolina team that needs to win today to finish at 500. Paul Mainieri hasn't had a losing record since 1992. It's when he was still in the Springs as a head coach at Airtrips to Omaha at both Notre Dame and of course at LSU. And after a few years off, back in the game in Soda City now. And it's fit in for a strike at 91. Kazmar's a transfer from Ohio State. He's coming off of a really good series against LSU. South Carolina stunned the Tigers in game number 1 of that series. Kazmar finished 4 for 10 with a home run and a couple of triples. Regional weekend. And this ball's lifted into right field. That one will drop in front of Ashton Wilson. And the Cox have something going here in the first inning. First 2 men on with nobody out. So with all of the injuries Florida has incurred, they've shuffled people around, especially on the infield. In fact, they even had to burn a red shirt last week. Jones, Curlin, Heyman out, foul territory. Brennan Lawson gives a look that's off the screen. It's a Florida program last year, Lance, that people are familiar with. They were basically playing in the playoffs with a few weeks to go just to get above 500. Ended up as the 3 seed, and a breaking ball in for a strike, 1-1. What is Barlow's best stuff? Where does he go here with nowhere to go?
Well, you just got to get down in the zone, right? You got to get contact, force contact, get into the play, let your defense do some work.
And here's that chance up the
corners.
2 down and outside the corner. That time 1-2 now to Beau Hollins.
You know, this seems like a spot where he needs to make that pitch to get out of this inning, and all of a sudden you look at it, you go, hey, as bad as it looked, it's only 1 run. Kind of regroup himself. Hopefully the offense picks him up a little bit.
And gets another ground ball up the middle, gathered by Bozier. And
slider, curveball, change. So there's 5 pitches. There's multiple fastballs. It's a guy that just, again, going to show you, try to disrupt some timing.
He was at Johnson County Community College in the KC area last year. Set the school record in punchouts with 113. Hasn't been able to replicate that in the SEC. In fact, he's pitched to an ERA nearing 8. Bozier on base. He's got 18 bags in 21 attempts.
Well, you look down the lineup, right? You have a couple more guys with 13 each, and Yost and Wilson, and now that they get Nadeau back in the lineup, he's got 7 out of 10. So you got some guys that can go out there and run, and Florida's going to look to put a little pressure on the Gamecock defense.
Is it odd to have an offensive timeout so early in the game?
I thought
he has plenty of time to turn to.
Right, and so you have games starting early, right? So they played a Thursday, Friday, Saturday series, and now they're moving things up to Tuesday and all that. So you're going to have to.
That was last time out for Florida. He went 6 of 12 and homered twice. Now 250 average with 7 home runs. 2 of them have come in this last 18 game SEC stretch for Florida. And this one's in the seats. Ball and 2 strikes to Sear with 2 on. And there have now been more pitches thrown by Stone after the error than prior to. Evans a runner at second. Brody Donay is a runner at first. Blake Sear at the plate for Florida. And the 2-2.
In all of the league, and so in front of the dugouts and behind home plate, and so those are balls that you routinely think are in the stands, and then you realize, oh, that's going to come back, and so nice job Stripling not giving up on it.
Here's former Gator Jordan Carrion to the plate. He's a senior from Miami. He's come all the way up 95, well, down and then back up, and he slices this one foul. Started at Florida. He was a two-way guy when he first got to Florida. Made 7 appearances out of the bullpen. There's a souvenir. Evan was a great high school football player, but football injuries cost him a couple of high school baseball seasons. Both sophomore and junior year at Dutch Fork, he was unable to play on the diamond. And this one to third. Stripling's going to tie a record.
And he's up in the top of the list is because he knew the makeup of the team. Last year, right, he said, look, hey, I had to jump him because it was like, I can't let this guy, generational player, go out like this. And so it had to be just, look, you know, sometimes you got to coddle certain guys, and knowing your team exactly how he did is everything you want from a coach, because you got to know when to jump some guys, you got to know when to just be that just calming presence. And he said the calming presence was everything they needed this year, and they've continued to play.
Ashton Wilson at the plate. He's a great example in front of his teammates.
With the 3 plays, comes up in the next inning, laces a single up the middle. Just feeling it.
So the inning extended for Justin Nadeau. Stripling only has 1 stolen base on the year. Nadeau, junior from St. John's, played 2 years as a Jacksonville Dolphin.
What's their chant?
I couldn't find it.
I think he said it just bounced up, and you know, usually you protect, right? You have your glove hand, and then you got that other hand to go get the ball right as he's trying to go that double play quick. Just bounced up, busted him right on that nail.
Breaking ball low and in. Here's ball 4 to Nadeau, and Gators have 2 on with 2 out. And back to the top of the order. And Bobby Bozer, remember at Park, and he took him.
It's like Florida and Alabama possibly hosting. Nice effort right here, but just under the glove again. No, I love the hustle by Jackson, trying to put a little pressure on the defense. You see that fingernail taped up as he slides head first. But I think it's Florida and Alabama like trying to get into that hosting conversation, because you know how important it is to be able to play those early games at home.
Breaking ball to Henry Kazmar. Is now riding a 7-game hit streak. 2 on with 2 out for South Carolina, as Kazmar has reached base each time he's come to the plate tonight. And it continues the inning for Nathan Hall. Already action in the Gators pen. Lane Rowland getting loose. Barlow's sitting at.
I mean, like BMAC, Brian McCann in Atlanta, he's what, 6'2"-ish, something like that.
Yep.
You know, wasn't a small guy.
Well, Luke Heyman out with a broken forearm, got hit by a pitch game 1 of the Alabama series. He's 6'4". I mean, those are a couple of guys that Todd Golden might be like, hey, come out and play hoops with us, guys. I know we got a national title, but we could always use the bodies.
I just felt like the big body guys suck up the plate, and so basically if they're off the plate and you hit the plate, right, then all of a sudden.
Stick with Barlow here?
Yeah, I think you mentioned just the pitches. I think it's batter for batter right now. And so I think he kind of feels that when you saw Donay go out there talking that it's, hey, you know, if another guy gets on, this is it. So you're pitching to stay out in the game. You got to get outs.
Jace Woida hit into a double play his first time up.
When it came to the gold jersey, because you can all go all the way back to 1996 and the Warren Morris years, when they put that gold jersey on, it was like, uh-oh, get out of the way. They're about to roll through.
Donay sends this one deep to right field. The next pitch to Hayden Yost.
It's got to feel good though as a hitter to know you have that much juice the other way, right? Because you can be a little bit more patient. You can let that ball travel. A lot of times guys feel like they have to go out, get the ball, pull it to hit it over the fence, but Donay trust the power, trust everything in his swing, and he lets that ball travel as good as anybody.
Yost has a pop-up to
Tom Hand. Now you're seeing Stone just trying to live up in the zone, and the stuff is just not good enough right now to be able to beat these Gators hitters up in the zone out over the plate.
And when you say not good enough, meaning from a velocity
Correct,
standpoint?
right. I mean, if you're up, you need to be a little bit above the top of the zone. He's just trying to pitch in the zone to get the strikes, and you're right. You're starting to want to see guys, in the mid to upper 90s if you're going to pitch in the zone up. I've seen guys throw, with 90 to 92, out of the zone, and you can get swing and misses. But when you're trying to throw, hey, we want you to come to Florida. Yes, sir.
Junior college, Florida. Junior college, okay. Worked pretty well for the Gators, too. Here's Landon Stripling. See A&M in the nightcap tonight against Mississippi State. You might remember Landon's uncle, Ross Stripling, played at Texas A&M before going on to a long big league career. Was an all-star with the Dodgers in 20. Popped up right side. Hollins called off, and Carrion takes care of it. But not before Florida pushes two more across, 3 extra base hits. Two-time All-State player in Lakeland at McKeel Academy of Technology. As part of a stretch run, we had 12 varsity letters. Of course, baseball, but also basketball and golf. That one just barely missed. He was All-State in all 3 sports: baseball, basketball, and golf.
Just naturally, but much less when you have to deal with those shadows.
And Carrion sends this one foul. Jordan Carrion went to American Heritage High School in South Florida. He committed to the Gators ahead of his freshman baseball season. And he lobs this one to left field. That gets down for a knock. 2-out single for Carrion. Staying Gainesville was brief before he ended up. What kind of communication is he getting in terms of where we might go to you?
Well, you have the dugout be like, hey, he's got next guy, right? Or if a guy gets on, he's on, you're in. And that's where you need the bullpen coach to be able to stand in front of you and go, hey, like, you're ready. I watched you. You know you're ready. We don't need to keep throwing.
And that'll be it after a 4-pitch walk to Evan Stone. Second walk. The leather. Bozer reacts and made the play. Just your typical 1-6-3 inning ender. It was like destiny. And Childs made the play. Finish it off.
You were good. You're right. Little 1-6. Bozer can do it with the bat, can also do it with the glove.
5-10 years ago, you get off to a 1-11 start in the league. You have great expectations from a very talented team, and granted, they were dealing with injuries early on in conference play. That, you probably try to do it with a hammer instead of with hugs.
And I really think that's the part where coaches, they know their team, they know the guys, and when you're talking weekend starters, middle of the order hitters with experience, it's always going to be tough to replace.
Coppola was sensational last time out.
Sully was talking yesterday, and he had a little gleam in his eye when he mentioned his name of how good he was. And I was like, hey, well, how many games does it take? Does it take a couple wins here before we were able to see him on the mound in Hoover? But he really wants to make it that far. That way they can get him extended a little bit. That way when regionals comes in, he's a 5-6 inning guy.
1-2 is upstairs. 2 balls and 2. In the third inning was an opposite field shot, leading the SEC in opposite field home runs. As a pitcher, when you see that on the scouting report, what does that tell you about either how you can or how you shouldn't attack him?
Right. Well, so what happens is that's just basically he's letting that ball travel. So usually big power hitters are wanting to get those arms extended. So you're thinking, hey, I got to throw the ball in. I got to throw the ball in. Well, if you're going to throw the ball in to a guy like Donay who lets it travel down.
.296 team average over the last 18 SEC games.
Tom, a lot of it you're seeing right here, right? Only giving up 1 run. The first 12 games, pitching ERA was a 9.6. Last 18, 3.7. So they figured it out, right? He said Peterson started pitching like a.
Gators have scored in every inning since. 3-run home run from Bozer in the second. A couple of runs, including a home run from Donay in the third. Another single tally in the fourth before the Yost home run here in the fifth. Dribbles past Coffer, 2-2.
Captain obvious here, but it seems like this is the time where getting the leadoff guy on, nobody out. South Carolina, if they're going to make a run, this would be the inning.
Only the second time they've had the leadoff man on in this game. Blake Jackson led off the game with a single for Pulmonary squad and came home to score a couple batters later. But remember, South Carolina had the bases loaded and nobody out in the first. Scored just 1 run. I forgot where it was for a moment. Got him on the edge, and 3 pitches to dispatch Stone, and Rollins got it rolling. Worked just for second.
Yeah, this is the big blast. They got it all going for the Gators. Put them up 3-0 or 3-1. I keep messing that one up, Mr. Tom. Forget about that first run, but the Gators haven't looked back after that big 3-run blast.
Look at that. Pops this one out of play. He is on a Collins, and a 1-2-3 frame worked for the first time by a South Carolina. Carry on, trying to get an extra bag, goes flying in feet first, and back-to-back doubles for the Gamecocks have given South Carolina some life here in the 8th.
But the senior said, look, the freshman having a little fun. He wants to join the party. Trading places right here. A little smile on his face as he hits that one into the gap.
They were on the practice field the day before at 5 a.m. body clock time to get ready for what was the 6 a.m. body clock start in Durham.
Looks smart for the coaching staff doing that. And as the players are like, Coach, we really don't need that.
Yeah, we'll be fine.
We're good.
Just give us 1 day. Florida is 24-0 on the season in games they lead after 7 innings. And after 8 when trailing, South Carolina is only 1-19. One and one. Ty Evans has a couple of hits tonight. Also reached on an error. Bozer at third, Lawson at first. Here's the 2-0. And relevant, you go, okay, well, it's an 8-run game. Why is Kevin O'Sullivan coming out to make sure they get that right? Well, there is a run rule in effect. Florida currently up 8 with nobody out. Sweeney making his 23rd appearance. 8's wild on the ERA. More strikeouts than innings pitched, though. And score 4.